In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we are going to be talking about a Bears victory for the third game in a row. Going to be talking about the Cubs postseason ending and a little more. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. So the season is here. So make sure you head on over to icehogs.com, get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, how does it feel to see the Bears after starting off 0-2 and looking like they were going to get the number one overall pick to now being 3-2 and on a 3-game winning streak?
Well, three is a good number because I have three words for you. Ball, don't lie.
That's true. That is true. I know exactly where you're going with this. And
Yeah.
normally we would wait on this topic, but
hmm
I think we might want to start with this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is a massive elephant in the room, and it's something that any casual football fan watching could see right before their very eyes, regardless of national media trying to avoid it and people not trying to trash Jaden Daniels. But last night it was shocking at times, right?
I don't. It was so bad. I don't know which uh time to call out as the most egregious.
There was, I'd say, three or four candidates, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's the one that hurt the most, but there was the one that I was screaming at my television about.
So let me guess those two.
Okay.
The one that hurt the most, it had to be the Adunze touchdown, right? Where there was
Yes.
simply no movement on the line. He wasn't out of place. He was in position. And another topic we'll get to, but Troy Aikman, who was hating on the Bears all night, even he said there was nothing there. And when he
Yeah.
says there's nothing there.
And he hates the Bears. So yeah, when
Yeah.
when when he's defending the Bears from a bad penalty that removed a touchdown, you know it was bad. And I just want to point out that the left tackle for the Chiefs like lines up worse than that every single time, and it's never a penalty.
Of
Ever.
course not.
And it was so egregious. They even drew the line on the like, yeah, his head has to be up to the belt of the center. And it clearly was. It clear as day was.
Yeah, they
That
zoomed in. They zoomed in. They drew the line. And I don't understand what they saw. Because, I mean, some penalties, yes, from a certain angle, it could look worse than it is. But that one, I'm just like, where are you seeing this? I didn't understand it at all.
if when they called like an illegal formation, I, all I could think of is, oh, maybe one of the wide receivers that you couldn't see on the screen wasn't on the up on the line of scrimmage. That I'm like that had to be it because I could clearly see the five offensive linemen. They
hmm
were fine. The tight end. I mean, everybody's fine that I could see. And then when they show it, I was like, what? That's that's egregious. Like that somebody should they have a huddle and be like, bro, come on now. Um,
I just don't get it.
yeah, it that was that's the one that hurt the most. What was the one that I yelled at my screen was the angriest about?
Let me guess, because I was pretty pissed about this one too. Was it the OPI on Colson Loveland?
No, but I was real mad about that one.
Was it the face mask? The
No, but I was real
phantom
mad
face
about that
mask?
one. No, but I was real mad about that one too.
Was it the roughing the passer?
No, but I was real mad about that one too.
Boy, there were so many. I'm trying to remember what other ones there were.
It was the intentional grounding on Jaden Daniels that they didn't want to call, but was so
Oh
blatant
yeah,
that
yeah.
there was so blatant that they had to be like, oh God, we gotta call this one. I don't want to, but that was so blatant that there's nothing that can defend it. There's nothing in the world. He threw. There wasn't any on the television screen. Like, all right, you can't say he was out of the pocket because he was clear as day, dead center, dropped back from the center. So
Yes.
not out of the pocket. You can't. He was trying to argue there was somebody around, and I think the
There
ref
wasn't a
was going to
soul.
believe that. But when they showed it on the television screen, there was nobody on the screen. Like it was the ball in on green grass. It was. It couldn't have been a more textbook uh, intentional grounding. That is literally the definition. They should just take that and when they're training in the off season to the refs, like, yeah, this is intentional grounding. And they didn't want to call it. They had to have a huddle. And he so reluctantly pulled the yellow flag out and looked sad, like like you know, uh like somebody dumped his ice cream cone on the ground and he just sadly dropped it on the ground. Like they did not want to call that.
Well, it took them a while for that flag to come out in the first place, and then they had to discuss on where the penalty marker was going to be, where they were going to be set back. But I mean, to your point, if you were to describe what intentional grounding was and like what the rule is behind it to somebody that doesn't really know football or is so casual they don't understand the rule, that's probably the perfect example of one that you could find for intentional grounding. I mean, it wasn't even debatable when you saw it in real time. So yeah, I mean that was really really bad. In my personal opinion, for me, I was beside myself with that Colson Loveland call.
Oh, that was so bad. I mean, so many of them were so bad. I hope Ben Johnson forces George McCaskey to send that to the league. All of those. And Ben Johnson's just seething over the top of George until he does it.
He's
George,
got.
did you do it?
Let me get my purple crayon and paper out.
Use this pen.
But it's not
Use it.
purple.
Use it.
It's a red pen. It's my blood for ink. But and I want to make this a point too. Not only were some bad things called, do you remember on the final drive when Caleb Williams kept the ball and ran towards the sideline and got like a yard? Did you not see Roma Dunze literally getting shoved in the face?
Yeah. Yep.
Like go back and watch it. Like it was
Yep.
as clear as day that that should have been called.
Or if we want to go like on the uh uh on there was a pass with Roma Dunze and they didn't call pass interference, which I wouldn't have either. But if we're calling the ticky tack things that they called, like there was uh illegal contact on the defense, and you're like, oh, it was beyond 5 yards, bro. That was like 6 yards. Like it was
Hmm.
so ticky, and it was the tickiest tacky. They didn't move him from his spot. He just like literally had his hand on, like feeling him. Like it was the tickiest tack thing ever. And I'm like, you're gonna call that illegal contact, but you're not calling that pass interference? I can't. I can't. The NFL stands for not for long if you're going to be that bad at officiating. First season
Well,
guy,
yeah,
last
and
season guy.
well, here's a question too is this was a rookie referee, right?
Correct.
Listen, every game should be called fairly and at its best. I
Absolutely.
guess my question is why would you place a rookie referee on Monday Night Football in front of a national audience? A lot of people were watching this game. I mean, this was the rematch of the Hail Mary last year. The number of narratives around this game, the Hail Mary, the Commanders rising, the number one and number two pick from a few drafts ago facing off. Washington's got a big fan base. The Bears have a big fan base. This was one of the biggest games of the week. I think only the
Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams.
right, yeah, the top two picks. So why would you put a rookie referee on that game? I guess I just don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, why is he the head referee? Like, even if he's on this game, like he should work his way up to that. There should be like somebody that knows what they're doing that goes, yeah, we're not gonna call that. Sorry, bro, we're not calling that. Because it was egregious. And you know what? There have been plenty of games like the Vikings game where there was bad officiating, but it was bad, fair and balanced bad officiating. You're like, okay, we got this one, they got this one. Like it sucks. We can both, the the cartoon of Schwarzenegger and um what Dylan from where they're locking fists and it says like Vikings fans, Bears fans, and then their fist is like clasped together and it says bad officiating. Uh, that like all right, I get that, but this one was so one-sided. It was atrocious. You're right.
Right.
The offensive pass interference. Do you know how not often pass offensive pass interference is called? And if you and the definite like you're like he didn't extend his arm. He didn't extend his arm. Like, how is that offensive pass interference? The roughing the passer where he touched his helmet, like that, that was bad. Uh the
I want to talk about that penalty in particular, the roughing the passer.
it was that was a key turning
So,
point.
yes, and now if you look, what was it? Who was it that got to him? Was it Montez
Sweat.
Sweat?
Montez Sweat.
Yeah. Uh, So he was kind of getting pushed into him, but he was. I mean,
Well, there was two.
here's
There was
here's
two of
my
them that
thing.
there was the
Oh, the one that went low.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Montez Sweat
That's
is
the
the
one I
one
was
that
thinking of.
with his
Yeah.
left hand he touched the top of his helmet, like just
Right.
touched it. The one
The one where
the
he
other
went
one was
low, where
yeah,
it was at the legs.
that
Yeah.
was um
Was that Gordon or Brisker?
that was
Who was
Brisker.
that?
That was
It might have been, yeah,
Brisker.
Brisker. Yeah.
Um and he got I mean, he got pushed pretty good. I think he was still going to go in low, but he got pushed and they flagged that. And so I was annoyed at that. Like you shouldn't be flagged if you get shoved into him. But the Montez Sweat one was atrocious. Like when he came down, he just like put his hand on the top of his helmet and roughing. Like, bro, like it wasn't a slap. It wasn't. He didn't like come down with like a hammer fist. Like it wasn't some UFC stuff. Like he literally just touched it, like letting him know he was there.
Yeah.
You know,
Now, I mean, I get that roughing the passer has gotten insanely subjective over these years. I mean, they're trying to protect the quarterback, which to an extent I get. And, there's going to be different enforcements of the rules, but that's just the thing. Because 2 points. One, do you remember when Caleb was hit out of bounds
yeah.
when
Yep.
he avoided that sack and it looked like a helmet to helmet?
Yep.
It's just like, okay, based on that, if the same thing that happened to Jaden Daniels on that helmet touch Montez Sweat penalty to Caleb Williams, if the roles were reversed, like I ask myself, would Caleb Williams have gotten that call?
No, would not have.
And I mean that play where he got hit out of bounds, it's that came after that Montez Sweat roughing the passer in quotes. So the fact that that penalty was called first, and then you had Caleb get hit and not get called, because it would be one thing, in my opinion, if Caleb Williams got hit first and they didn't call anything. But the fact that that happened after that other call, it just makes you go, really?
Yep. But the Brisker one, I can live with that one. He did go
I can live
low.
with that too. I can live with that too.
Like, you know, bang bang. He did get hit. Was he diving? As well. Bang bang. I get it. I'll live with that. The Montez Sweat one, it looked like he was just like touching him to let him know, like, hey, look how close I was. Because a lot of guys will do that just, you know, uh, to get in your head. Like, hey, look how close I was to getting you. Look at how close. And that's really what it was. He touched him on the top of the head and was like, that's how close I was. It's how close I was, bro. And they call that roughing. That was atrocious. The touchdown, atrocious. The face mask uh on Nashawn Wright was atrocious.
Because that would have forced a punt, right? I mean,
Yep.
because it was third and long, they got the stop, and then they show the replay. Well, there was kind of a tug there. It's like no, there was nothing there. There was maybe a little bit of a contact, but you're really gonna call that?
Yeah,
Like
I,
he
I
didn't
was so
grab his
annoyed.
face mask. And then they scored they
Yeah,
scored a touchdown like what, a play or two later?
it was like so frustrating. And these were all things that kept drives alive. There was a penalty that
Right.
was like what, third and long, and then nope, penalty. Um, it just like it was frustrating. And but I will say this to all the Caleb haters out there, guess what? Caleb outplayed Jaden Daniels.
Well,
Sorry,
Caleb didn't turn the ball over.
that's the whole thing is two huge moments in the game. Jaden Daniels turned the ball over. Is
Yes.
that interception? They were gonna score a touchdown on that drive. There's no doubt in my mind. He
Hmm.
throws that interception. That was a huge turning point. And then the end, fumbling that ball. That was 100% on Jaden Daniels. And I started to see online people start to, well, it was raining and the ball was wet. And I said, look, look at, was it Lisa Salter? Look at her interview before the game with Jaden Daniels on the field, where she said, is the weather going to be a factor? And he laughed and said, no, man, this is football weather, not going to impact it. And guess what? You can't use it as an excuse when you laugh it off. If during that point he'd have been like, yeah, we're gonna have to make sure we take care of the ball. It's slick, uh, you know, like whatever, like I'm gonna wear different gloves, whatever the case is. He scoffed at the weather. So guess what? When that happens, 100% on him. That cost them the game. If he
Hmm.
doesn't drop that, the Bears probably don't score that field goal to win.
No, because I mean, they probably get that first down, or at
Even if
least
they
make it
don't,
fourth and manageable,
they're
and you
they're
could
they're
have.
going to punt it and make the Bears go, the whole field. But
Yeah, I mean, the exchange was just not good. It wasn't a good exchange. If you watch the replay in slow, it was not a good exchange between either Daniels or his running back.
it was 100%
You
on
messed,
Jaden
you
Daniels.
straight up messed up.
Yeah, he never had his hands totally on the ball, and he tried to like hot potato it into the running back. In in those exchanges, you're supposed to like just really ram that into his stomach, and he basically tossed it like hot potato. and he wasn't ready for that. So then he's trying to grab it and it just hits the ground. And Nashon Wright just was right on it because, I will tell you, the Bears played that run tough. The Bears played the
Yes, they
run
did.
tough that game.
They
They played
Dennis
they
Allen had that schemed very, very well.
because I'm going to tell you this as well. The league doesn't want to hear this. Uh, all the haters of Caleb Williams don't want to hear this. The Bears defense said, "We're going to stop the run. Jaden Daniels beat us with your arm." And he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they had a great game plan for that day. I think that what really caught my attention was they were on the ball. And yes, it wasn't perfect and you had some slip ups. The one touchdown where the guy was wide open, was that McCaffrey? I think it was. I
Yeah.
mean, there wasn't a soul around him,
Well, that
obviously.
that is they I forgot who it was. Was it Stevenson? He he sold out and thought that they were going to go throw it underneath and he was going to try to undercut it.
Hmm.
And and I think it probably was going to go there and he just did it too early and Jaden Daniels saw, "Oh, nope, I'm just going to throw that," and it was an easy touchdown.
Yeah, it was as easy of a touchdown as it gets.
Yeah,
But
that was he jumped the ball. Um, but yeah, the Bears defense, you know, the defensive backs, they picked on Nashon Wright, and it's weird. He had, in some respects, he had a really good game. In other respects, he had a bad game.
yeah,
Um, there was some penalties, there was some bad coverages, some slips on his part where he didn't have his footing, but then there was some big tackles and the fumble recovery. So it's it kind of became a wash.
also
Um,
remember when they forced a field goal attempt towards the end of the first half, which ended up being a doink.
mhm.
And that was a big defensive stop.
Yeah, yep, that
And
was a
you
big
should have
one.
another defensive stop before the bogus, face mask penalty. But yeah, I mean, I was very happy with the way they schemed the defense, the way they played. I mean, they were on the ball, and towards the end of the game, you started to get a little bit of pressure on Jane Daniels, even got a sack. And hey, Montez Sweat's name was being called outside of just that one penalty. That's a good thing.
I mean, Dexter and Billings, that whole defensive line was getting at the end they were getting pressure on him, but in the beginning they were moving the line of scrimmage. So, the other games this season so far, they were getting moved back and so even when they were making the tackle of the running back, uh, it was already 3, 4, 5 yards gained. And they were moving the line of scrimmage and stopping him for no gain, 1 yard. And that was a huge difference. That was a huge
Yeah.
difference. And the Commanders going into that game were the number one rushing attack in the NFL. Look what they
And the
did to
Bears were
some
the
of their
worst run defense.
yeah, and that a rainy nor'easter. I mean, I was in New York over the weekend, and that storm they got was on the East Coast was legit. So the weather was bad, and so that's going to lend it to probably running the ball. And the number one running attack versus the worst rush defense, like that, there's no way that the Bears should have won that game, and they did. They this this is another example of how this coaching staff is so much better than the last coaching staff. Is the last
Well,
coaching staff, they they were never prepared coming out of the bye.
well, that was such a big deal. I mean, they won after the bye week for the first time in ages. Hey, Tressman didn't win after the bye. Nagy didn't win after the bye. Fox, Eberflus, they not only lost games after the bye, but completely unprepared on so many levels in a lot of those games after the bye. And the Bears offensively and defensively were. Can I say that that was one of the best games we've seen a Bears O-line play in a long time?
Yeah. Oh, the
Like, can I
offensive
legit
line,
say that?
the offensive line, and I told you this. I told this show when after not this year's draft, the last draft, when they got the Theo Benedette as an undrafted free agent. For every player they draft, I go and watch as much film as I can because I want to know what we're getting, what I think. And there was not a lot of tape on Theo Benedette, but I looked at this guy and I was like, I think he's going to be a player. And I think the offensive line played so much better with Theo Benedette as your left tackle. He gave up nope. Was it? I don't think he had one pressure. He gave one pressure, no sacks. Uh, and he was a force in the run game. Darnell Wright, that game, he looked like a
Really
Pro
good.
Bowler. And Joe Tooney, that's the best game we've
Hmm.
seen him as a Bear, hands down. He
Yeah.
gave up
Well,
no
there's a reason
pressures.
he's an all-pro and a Super Bowl champion. Yeah.
Yeah, that he played an elite game. So, uh, Jonah Jackson played okay. There were moments where he looked good. There were moments where he didn't. But he he may or may not be playing hurt. I'll just say that.
Hmm.
I will just say that. Um, Drew Dahlman started off a little rough, but by the end he was looking okay. Um, but
Some of those blocks in the second half that he made on some of
yeah,
the play action passes, he did a good job.
yeah. The run game, and it wasn't just that the offensive line was playing better. Is they over those 2 weeks, you can tell the coaching staff went, okay, why is our running game failing? And they reevaluated everything. They said,
Hmm.
here's where we're good, here's where we're not good, here's where our talent needs, you know, is good and not good. And they said, let's run more outside runs with DeAndre Swift. So when they
Funny
were
how that
running
works.
and they got him screens, they got him some short passes, they got him some uh outside runs, and they saved the inside runs for Roshan Johnson, who we finally saw, and Kyle Monungai.
Yep. Yep.
That's and we saw better results. Like
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift, when like that touchdown run or that touchdown pass, that's where you're going to get excel from him. Screen passes, those short passes, especially if he's going to get covered by a tight end. I mean a linebacker or hell, even a defensive lineman. Like you're going to get a mismatch. Get him out there in space. And you saw it with that long touchdown. Like I thought he was out of bounds. Nope. Stayed in bounds. Didn't get tackled, but he's not that. I mean, for an NFL player, he's stronger than us, but he for an NFL player, he's not very strong. He goes down on first contact from a defensive lineman, an edge, a linebacker. So you can't run him where they're just going to one arm tackle him like a Derrick Henry or a Saquon Barkley. They're not going down off an arm tackle at the line of scrimmage, and you better hit them hard to take them down. Swift is not built like that. So you've got to use him where he can hit that gap and use his speed and quickness. So kudos to the coaches where they learned a lesson. They they saw they saw where they were deficient and they reevaluated it. Like, all right, let's attack it this way.
Yeah. I made a point to a coworker at work today that I said, I like to think that the biggest thing that they emphasized during these 2 weeks off was that run game because we saw how hard Ben Johnson tried to make that run game work early in games before, and it just wasn't working. But you finally got the right blocking, the right scheme, the right execution. And I think you got to give both credit to DeAndre Swift, who, in my opinion, had his best game as a Bear. I don't think it's particularly close, and the blocking and the scheming, because it all had to work together. Because not only were those holes there, but you got to hit those holes just right. And that's what she said. But that's what DeAndre Swift did. It looked like he was just accelerating better than we've seen him before because he was hitting those spots perfectly. And you know that they were working really hard at that. The other thing that I like too, and this goes with the game-winning drive. The story of the game-winning drive was DeAndre Swift in the run game. And what was good about that was even though, you think, okay, game winning drive, you're trailing, you need to put it in your quarterback's hands. And Caleb Williams did hook up on a key third down conversion to Colson Loveland, but the run game was working for you all night, and you didn't abandon what was working. You kept using what was working, and look where it got you. And that final run by DeAndre Swift, that really nice run that got you, what, around the 20, that was a thing of beauty.
Yeah. I mean, ended up with what, 67 yards receiving and 108 yards rushing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you had like 170 some altogether yards and you had a touchdown and multiple key runs. It was a great game for DeAndre Swift. And you know he's frustrated. You know the coaching was frustrated. So to see it finally work, it really, really nice to see. Am I going to still sit here and see DeAndre Swift as my number one ideal back? No. But at least you can see it work in times like this because you needed that run game yesterday. It was crucial in a number of spots. And I'm really, really glad that they tried to mix. I mean, obviously, DeAndre Swift got the most carries, most touches, and, they used him the most. But even if Kyle Monangai didn't light up the score sheet, it was him get those runs up the middle because those aren't the ones you want DeAndre Swift necessarily doing. So hopefully you can continue to build on that and kind of mix and match with what you have. It's not a lot. I'd love Breece Hall from the Jets, but unless he's walking through that door, you don't have him. So you got to work with what you have.
They
And just,
said the Jets said he's not on the market. I don't know if
yeah, well,
that's smoke or
I think he wants out
oh, I'm
of there,
sure he
man.
does. That team is atrocious.
Yeah, did you see that game against the Broncos?
I watched a little bit of it.
Well, you probably should have watched none of it because it was just vomit inducing.
I mean, if listen, I like Justin Fields. I think he's a good kid. He's just not an NFL quarterback. He's a
No,
phenomenal athlete. He's got a cannon for an arm. It's I think he understands defenses. I don't think he can play quarterback at the NFL level. Phenomenal
yeah,
college quarterback. Um, but he's a big problem there.
his processing speed just isn't there.
And he's just his fear to throw over the middle.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it makes it easier to defend when you're not expecting him to throw in the middle. He's throwing to the sidelines.
yeah. I truly think like my biggest meatball take of all time is Justin Fields should reinvent himself as a gadget guy. He's got the athleticism.
Like the guy from the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like Hill, but I mean, when I think a gadget guy, I kind of think like a Cordero Patterson, where you're just like, okay, you could be a running back, you could be a wideout, you could be a return man. It's something along those lines. Because, like, I mean, just his running ability, his athleticism is off the charts. Like, he's got all the physical tools to be elite. It kind of sucks to see when you're that gifted and you're not excelling at the NFL level. And sure, he's had a few good garbage time games, but it's garbage time. And there will probably be a few games this year where he legitimately has very good games, like he did with the Bears. He'll have his good games, but you just as a consistent starter back, you're just not seeing it. And I
I
mean,
mean
he's on his third team now.
that first game of the season he had a really good game. It's just so not
Yeah,
consistent.
it was a good game. Right.
And when it comes crunch time, he folds. Like
Yeah.
for the folks that are like, we should have traded the Caleb Williams pick for a haul and invested in uh uh invested in him, like that's silly because you know what? You would not have Ben Johnson right now.
No, no, you wouldn't. So, I
Like
mean,
Justin Fields is not enticing Ben Johnson to come here. He would have gone somewhere else.
no, no, he's not.
Um,
He's here
here
because of Caleb Williams.
uh, going into this, okay, so according to the Tribune, going into yesterday's game, the Bears had lost 10 of their last 11 games after a bye week.
That's insane.
Yeah,
It's almost like
that
you're trying to be that bad.
and I saw another stat and I didn't evaluate it, but it was like the Bears were something like some like 40-0 lifetime when they won the turnover margin by 3 or more. And I'm like, you know what? That's only because of Matt Eberflus. If Matt Eberflus was coaching last night, there's no way the Bears win that game. And it would have been one of those. This is the first time in franchise history the Bears lost a game after being up +3 on the turnover margin.
Yeah.
And that there was no way Matt Eberflus would have won that game.
No, I mean that's the thing that a lot of people were saying. It's you know that they would have lost with Matt Eberflus. He would have lost against the Raiders. He would have lost this game against the Commanders. Both games would have been lost. And I want to make this point too. Looking at where the Bears are, we know they're not a great team yet. We know there's a lot of growing pains. We'll obviously talk about Caleb Williams in a minute, but the fact that they can kind of unravel a bit like they did late in the third quarter, early in the fourth, but then rally and find a way to win, that's a good thing. It's a good thing that you're able to win a game like that. And I think it's also a good thing that you head coach that in a big crucial spot will go to your quarterback and say, "You got this. Be Superman. Like this is your moment." Those are the things you love to hear. I
Yeah,
also have another funny stat for you real quick.
sure.
Did you know this is the first time since 1995 the Bears have scored at least 20 points in their first 5 games?
Yeah, I heard that today. I heard that today. Um,
30 years.
yeah. Uh,
30 years.
but this team, you're right. Are they a good team? No. Are they getting better? Yes. Yeah. I mean, you could still see where there's flaws and you could still see how much more room Caleb has to grow. I think Caleb is a good quarterback. Like
Yes, with
his
some flaws that he still has to work on. Yes.
it's in I just want to put his ability to protect the ball is insane for somebody that throws the ball around like that. It's insane how he
Hmm.
doesn't turn the ball over. And it's going to come, there's going to be games where he just has just, you know, throw some interceptions, but even when he has interceptions, like look last year, what do you have? 6 interceptions
Six.
total?
20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
And I bet half of those were essentially faux punts. Like it was on 3rd and long and he went deep and he was a deep pass and it ended up being just like a punt anyway, where it didn't
Hmm.
hurt them. I bet at least half of those were that situation. He just doesn't really turn the ball over. Uh, but
Do you hear this?
there's,
Do you hear me knocking on wood?
I
Sean,
can't, all right. Like I said, I can't foresee the future. I'm talking about from every game he's played so far. So anything that happens in the future, I can't talk about that. He
you
might
have
throw,
powers, man.
he might throw 90 interceptions the rest of the season. I don't know, but So far, he hasn't thrown interceptions. I'm just observation, just really hasn't thrown interceptions. But there's still some accuracy, and not like super bad. Like there was that one that was initially called a catch that went for 1 yard, and the Commanders challenged it for
Yeah,
some
yeah,
reason.
yeah.
Dumbest challenge ever. Uh, like, oh boy, you won. Durr. Uh, you won on a 1 yard gain. That that didn't make it a first down. Made it
Yeah.
2nd and 9. Um, but so that was a bad throw. Had that been an accurate throw, that probably ends up picking up 5, 6 yards. Um, there was another one where he threw it, I want to say to Zacchaeus, and he Zacchaeus caught it, but had it been thrown like 1 yard in front, he probably would have picked up 5, 6, 7, 8 more yards
Oh, is that
because
like on the first drive?
he was early on. Um,
Because
so
the other Olamide Zacchaeus play where he dropped what could have been like an 80-yard touchdown was, oh, that was a gut punch.
that would have been huge. Yeah, that was bad. Zacchaeus, like 9 times out of 99 times out of 100's catching that. I think was salivating because he saw that he was gonna still be running. Nobody would have caught it.
It was the most perfectly placed ball in the perfectly placed position where he could have just taken off. And that would have made Caleb's stats even the more better. But
Oh yeah, with another 80-yard touchdown, with 2 touchdown passes and a touchdown run and 300 yards.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that would have been huge. Um, but yeah, I mean, the other thing I want to talk about is we talk about the offensive line in the blocking scheme. Go watch the wide receivers block.
hmm
Uh, Rome Odunze was blocking like he was Joe Tooney. He was out there just putting blocks on like that. Everybody was in on that. That was a team effort on running the ball. I feel like the offensive coaches gave them a coming to Jesus moment about blocking, and they
hmm
heard it. They heard it.
We're seeing
Um,
successful screens for crying out
yeah,
loud.
we're seeing successful screens. Um, but there's just things to clean up. The penalties, number
Yes.
one. And that's Ben Johnson called that. I mean, Ben Johnson I'm sure you saw the locker room speech he gave.
Oh, of course.
He could not it's like, we played like that. Now just imagine if we didn't have penalties.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, he's right. The penalties, the the phantom ones, you can't clean those up because
No.
those are phantom. They're not real. Like, but the real ones, they're getting a lot better. You're not seeing as many false starts or holds on the offensive line. Um, so they're getting better on those. Uh,
You didn't really
but
see many false holdings at all yesterday.
no. Yeah, but there's just a few little things where guys didn't finish running their route. There was one where I don't know if I fault him, but uh, it could have been the difference, win or loss. Is there was a play where Caleb just took it and ran for the first down, and uh, Roma Dunze had his man beat, and he was throwing his arm up, going, look at me," like a playground play, and Caleb was rolling right. If he would have just thrown that, Roma Dunze would have got a huge touchdown.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and that's one that I think just takes a little time. He's got to make you're like, hey, keep your head up when you're running, and he usually does. So I'm surprised he didn't throw that. I think he was looking if I had to guess. This is speculation. I think he put his eyes down to make sure he got that first down and was running to a spot. and took his eyes off and didn't see him
Could be.
throw the. Um, and then there was the other play on this 2-point conversion where he had Monungai wide open,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Troy Aikman was right on that. Is
He
especially
was
Caleb's
right
not.
on that.
Caleb is not the super tall guy. He's not short, but he's not super tall. I have a feeling that Darnell Wright blocked his vision and he didn't see him
I think he was right on that one. Yeah,
because
no,
you could
I
see him.
agree.
He looks over and just I don't think he saw him, and so he threw, uh, and he had Monungai wide open, and that's I don't know how you work around that. Is sometimes just a big guy's in your way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I'm with you there. There was one other, I want to talk about another blah play with Caleb and then a few really good ones with Caleb. The blah one I want to talk about, I didn't like the play call and the execution was bad. It was that fourth down. I
Yeah,
just thought they were trying to be too cute there. All you needed was a yard. And the way you were moving the ball, I think they got unnecessarily cute there and Caleb didn't execute and it was a bad turnover on downs.
yeah, I was not happy about that one. Like it's he Ben Johnson does get cute on fourth downs. I don't know why he gets a little cute. Um, and then he also there's another funny thing is there'll be a point where he just decides I'm running the ball this whole series, and sometimes if you're running the ball well, like yesterday, you're like okay we can deal with this, but when you're not, you're like oh man this one
That's a different story, yeah.
yeah. But I mean I think the difference in this game ended up being the Bears' run defense forced the Commanders to get into third and long or third and mediums.
Hmm.
And the Bears were getting first downs before third down. So it was a huge difference.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're 100% right on that. Um, one more bad Caleb, and then I want to talk about some good Caleb. Do you remember it was mid third quarter? It was 13 to 10, and Caleb had that pass near the end zone that got batted and nearly picked.
Yeah. Yeah, that was not a good one.
No. Now, I want to talk about probably one of my absolute favorite moments of the night. And it was in that quarter. Do you remember that throw to Luther Burden for that big gain?
Yep.
That was beautiful. And I just saw a stat that Caleb Williams's QB rating is highest when targeting Luther Burden on the year. I know it's not a big sample size, but something
You
to
know,
note.
I'm just wondering when they're going to incorporate Colston Loveland and Luther Burden more in the offense. And I know some people, oh, the Bears are so bad drafting. Like, no, I just think they haven't incorporated these guys. It's, you're just starting to see both of those guys get incorporated. And I think once they do, you're going to see some special stuff because Colston Loveland is a matchup nightmare and Luther Burden is a big guy that got speed. Like I mean, I'm seeing that like big, like tall, like Roma Dunze, but he's stout. Um, he's kind of built like a Debo Samuel. Um, when you see these guys get fully integrated in this offense, there's gonna be good things that happen.
Yeah. And we saw little snippets of that when he was targeting Luther Burden last night. So that was a really, really great play and a spectacular throw. And then you mentioned Colson Loveland. Obviously, he had the one play that got taken away, but he did have that big connection, him and Caleb, to convert that third down on that game-winning drive. So that was pretty key there. But yeah, I do want to see, I want to see more targets to both those guys. And, maybe over the next few weeks, it's your time to do that. Because, look, I think DJ Moore had a pretty good game last night. And I still think he's an important part of this offense. I think Roma Dunze is your wide receiver one. But having the balance with Luther Burden as part of that in between Roma Dunze and DJ Moore, I think then you can really start getting things cooking. And eh, I don't know. I've been insanely disappointed with Komet these past two games. If you're going to do more tight end stuff, I want to see Colson Loveland involved more.
Yes. Um, but speaking of DJ Moore, did you see he got taken to the hospital after the game?
Yeah, so he had a groin issue apparently, and they kept him overnight. He returned to Chicago today. So when they were asking Ben Johnson about it, he just said, yeah, precautionary, had a groin issue, not going to share anymore. It's personal day to day. And a lot of people were saying, well, we saw him celebrate the field after the field goal, and he looked okay. He was smiling, but you know, Tom Waddle made a point when I was driving home on the radio when back in his day he was flying home from I think he said Cincinnati, and he had an injury really swell and flare up on the plane. And so that's why sometimes with surgeries you have to take precautions. So it seems like that's what they were doing, and hopefully he'll be okay. But when you hear immediately just he's staying overnight at the hospital, that just it worries you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when your coach goes with you. Um, yeah, I don't know. Uh, um, they're saying it's day to day.
Right.
So I don't know how, but I mean, the good news is that Luther Burden can step in and play that role. You don't want to lose DJ Moore long term, but I think Luther Burden's going to be a good player.
So do I.
Um,
So do I.
yeah. So, I mean, it was a team win, and you're seeing, um, you had a kicker step in. Like we didn't talk about Jake Moody.
Yeah, we
So
need to talk about
last
Jake Moody,
last
the
minute,
hero.
yeah. So Santos last minute doesn't play. They bring up Jake Moody, who was atrocious with the 49ers at the end
Yep.
and was money, except for that block. That
Yeah.
was a low kick. I
Yep.
mean, they did get a little bit of penetration, but it was a low kick. But everything, I mean, even the game winner, like I was a little nervous. Like, why aren't you just trying to get the touchdown? And I will tell you
Oh,
this.
I was this too.
Ben Johnson, Ben Johnson has been very deliberate in making sure teams don't get the ball back with time.
Hmm.
And he's been pretty good at managing that clock. And he made that decision. We're not going to turn the ball over. We're going to play to kick the field goal and get the win. And that's what they did. They saved the timeout, ran it down to 3 seconds. That last play centered or got to the where they, Jake Moody wanted the ball placed. Called the timeout with three
Something we
seconds
hadn't
left,
seen other Bears coaches do.
and
You
line up, kick that kick.
remember when they didn't line up Santos against Green Bay? Remember back in 2019 when Nagy didn't line up Pinheiro against the Chargers?
Yeah, find
Those
out.
things matter, man.
Yeah, it does, especially I mean, you're kicking in a dome. All right, don't be a baby. Kick it from where you're kicking it. Uh, but when you're kicking it when
Don't
it's
be baby.
is is if you're kicking it after there was a monsoon weather and it's wet, like figure out where he wants to kick it from. He's been practice kicking all afternoon. Find out where he wants to kick it from, especially conditions, and then do your best to put the ball there. And they did. They moved it to where he wanted it, and boom. And that when that kick came off, it had a weird hook to it. And I was like, oh God. And and but he made it. And it was cool to see him get the game ball, and it was cool to see him um, give credit to the punter and the snapper and the offensive line. And, good for him. He's a Michigan man. He's a Michigan man.
Yeah, and he was drafted in the third round. He's got a leg on him. It's just the accuracy that's been inconsistent.
I, you know who else was unsung hero from that game?
Hmm.
Torrey
Tory
Taylor.
Taylor? Yep,
Yes.
yep, yep.
There was that one kick that they got good penetration on, and he just got it off and still made it a good punt. There was another one where they were like, "We got to get this. Torrey Taylor's got to get it deep," and he did. It, good kicks. And, I heard some people online complaining that on kickoffs, Jake Moody was kicking it in the end zone to give the ball, to the 35 to the Commanders. But the Commanders have had a really, really good return game. I don't think they wanted to give them an opportunity.
Yeah, and I will say if there was one big complaint I had, it was the special teams coverage and the return game. Both were really bad by the Bears.
No, well, the Bears got bailed out by the one. I mean, it was a low block, and that was one. There was no way that wasn't. It was as blatant as can be. So that had to come back. But the Bears coverage on kicks and punts hasn't been that great this year. Uh,
No.
and I don't think they wanted to
And
risk.
Duvernay was returning to like the 2025 at the most.
He looked ginger returning those. Like early in the season, he was hitting everything hard, and now it's looking like he's being like dancing around. And on those kick returns, you've got to be fearless and just take it, hit a hole, one cut, go, one cut, go. I know a former
Yep.
Bear that used to do that, one cut, go. Now he's in the Hall of Fame. Um,
What was his name? Hauser,
Matt
Heister.
Suey.
Great reference.
Um, yeah, so I think that's got to get cleaned up, but I think they didn't want to risk the return, um, the returns and the potential for a big return that would give them better field position, and they were willing to concede to the 35. Um, and for I mean, they won, so it worked, but I think they were intimidated that they were going to have a touchdown return or close to it.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
Um, yeah. So it was, I mean, all in all, I think the Bears played a good game. The Commanders are a good team, and uh,
You reversed the
they
narrative from last year. You,
you
you got you got to think that
absolutely,
that was hanging over a lot of their heads.
yeah. Um, the you look at this team, and the Commanders routed the Giants. They played a tough game against the Packers. I think that was the one where Jaden Daniels got hurt.
I think so.
Um, they routed the Raiders. Uh,
Well, and they were the Raiders
they're
with Marcus Mariota, right?
I think so. To the Falcons, but that was not on the offense. The offense was cooking. Their defense stunk that one, and then they
Yeah.
routed the Chargers. Like, so it's not a slouch team. And
No, you're on the road against a team that went to the NFC Championship last year.
yep, yep. Um, so I mean, if Bears got to take that as a huge victory. You were a huge underdog. Most people picked you to lose, and
Mm-hmm.
you put together a good game. And
Yes.
you know, like how many times have we said this? You've got to learn how to be a winner, and they're learning how to win.
Right.
How many times
Yep.
did we see Matt Eberflus snatch defeat from the jaws of victory? And like, I mean, you're like, oh man, the Bears have a 98% chance to win this. Oh, Eberflus blew it. And
Mm-hmm.
it takes it. You've got to learn to win, and they're learning to win. And once you learn how to win, you become a winning franchise.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, you can live with a lot of the growing pains and some of the crap if you're finding ways to win games. I mean, it's with Caleb Williams. There's a lot to work on with him. But the fact that he can do what he can do, it helps you keep you in a game and it can help you win a game. Because it's not just Caleb too. I mean, it's the offense getting set and building further chemistry with some of your other players and execution on certain things. I mean, look at Dennis Allen's defense. It's very flawed. It's got holes, but after what I want to believe was an absolute ass kicking from the coaches and working as hard as ever after the Detroit loss, you're seeing more gelling with the defense. And the defense itself, like I said, it's got holes, it's got flaws. There are going to be times where that defense is going to get lit up and exposed. But the fact that they can rally to a ball and get takeaways, I mean, that helps you mask some of your issues and it helps you keep you in a game. Now, they still need more pass rush. They really, really do. But I like the fact that they can take the ball away like the way they've done. And hopefully it stays that way. Because, like I
Just,
said, there are a lot of holes that are going to get exposed. But if you play hard like that and you scheme right, then you can help make some things work.
I mean, just imagine them with Jalen Johnson.
Oh, I know. I know.
Like that last yesterday would have been a lot different with Jalen Johnson because they were picking on Nashawn Wright and Jalen Johnson. He would have locked any of those receivers. He's locking down.
Yes.
Like none
Yes.
of those receivers are getting anywhere. Um, so it would have been a different story. Um, but if the defensive line as a whole is going to stop the run like they did and get penetration, you're gonna naturally see the pass rush get better because on third when you got 3rd and 3, you're still preparing that they could run, especially when you're giving up 5 yards to carry. They can easily run that for a first down. So you've got to prepare for the run or pass rush. If you've got them at 3rd and long, like you're pinning your ears back. That's where you're getting the pressures. Um, so hopefully if they can learn to stop the run, the pass rush will just, I agree with you. It's not going to be great, but if it can be mediocre, that's going to change things. If just let them get mediocre pass cover or pass pressure on those 3rd and longs.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, this week you got some guys healthy again. You got TJ Edwards back. That helps with your run stopping, helps your linebacker core get strengthened. You got your nickel back. You got Kyler Gordon, who was looking a little rusty, but that's understandable. And then you should get more reinforcements back for this next game.
Yeah, Austin Booker's close.
Yep.
Um, I mean, I think he participated in every day in practice.
Yeah,
And they
he
just
was
last
full
minute,
practice. Yep.
yeah. So, but then the last minute they didn't play him. So hopefully he plays against the Saints. But we did lose Panay Sewell. Lost
Noah Sewell.
Noah Sewell. That concussion was brutal.
Yeah, that was rough.
I'm it's one of those things where you are like, base case scenario that he got a concussion because that could have been worse.
Yep. Absolutely.
Um, so let's see. So next Sunday on a short week, we get a noon game against the Saints. And the Saints are playing a lot better. They're still not a good team, but they're playing a lot better. Spencer Rattler is playing pretty well.
Yeah, this is one where I don't think it's going to be the cakewalk that a lot of people want to think it is. And to quote my man Dan Jiggets, you have to respect every opponent in the NFL. So I mean, look at the way that the NFL is shaped up over the past few weeks. Look at some of the game. I mean, the Bills have lost two in a row, just lost to the Falcons. You saw the Chiefs lose to the Jaguars. There are no gimmies in the NFL, and hopefully you take that seriously. And I'm sure Ben Johnson will, but it's definitely one of those games where you can say, listen, the stars are fully aligned for you on paper, but that doesn't guarantee anything.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you look, uh, like they're like 30 something yards a game less than you. Fairly negligible. Um, and rushing yards per game, they're like 1 yard a game less than you. Um, their defense yards allowed per game, they're better than you. Passing yards, they're identical 213, 213 for passing yards allowed per game. They're a better rushing defense than you. They just don't get turnovers. You're like 2.5 times more turnovers per game. So that's and their offense they're moving the ball. They just aren't scoring points. So they're one of the worst in the NFL in scoring points. But I mean they're playing better. Week one stunk, but then week two they lost to the 49ers. It was close. They got blown out by the Seahawks, blown out by the Bills. Then they beat the Giants. Albeit that was, Russell Wilson. But then they played the Patriots tough, and the Patriots are starting to look good. So they're 1-5, but this is not a gimme game, and the Bears are gonna have to play it like it's not a gimme game.
Correct.
Um, and you've got to stack these wins because uh, Lamar Jackson, you play Saints next week, then you get the Ravens, and they're 1-5, but I'm pretty sure Lamar Jackson's gonna be back then.
It
Um,
sounds like it, and Roquan Smith.
yeah. Uh, so you're going to get a healthier Ravens team.
Hmm.
You're the Bengals are they're still not looking great, but they're looking better with Joe Flacco than, so you're getting Joe Flacco and not that powder puff that was
It's
laying there a couple
harder
weeks
to
ago.
get worse than that.
Yeah. So, you're getting an actual NFL quarterback, even though he's 47 years old, but it's an actual NFL quarterback. You get the Giants. The Giants are playing a whole lot better with Jackson Dart. It's like they are a different team. And my man Cam Scatabo.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's looking pretty
oh
good.
my God, I saw a hilarious picture. It was from the old He-Man cartoon from the 80s and had He-Man and Ram Man standing next to each other and it said Jackson Dart and Cam Scatabo. I was like,
Seriously, that's what it feels like.
uh, but yeah, I mean, that's a different team with Cam Scatabo and Jackson Dart at quarterback. Then you get the Vikings again. And now they yeah, that was a shitty game. Steelers are 4-1 right now through witchcraft and voodoo.
Well, and it'll be the final time you play Rodgers at Soldier Field.
Yeah. Um, and then that's when you get into the bad part of your schedule. So you got to stack these wins. If you're the Bears,
Hmm.
that's like these games. If you want any hope of a postseason play, you've got to stack wins here because that Steelers game. I don't think the Steelers are that good, but they
Whenever
win.
you play the Steelers, they can always beat you no matter what.
They drag you. It's like an alligator where they just drag you to the bottom and drown you. And that's what they do. Then um, so, but after you get the Steelers, then it's the Eagles, the Packers, and it's the Browns. That should be a win. Then you get the Packers again, then the 49ers, then the Lions. That
Yeah,
is
a lot of
one,
tough
two,
games.
three, 4, 5, 6. Six out of your last 7 games are really tough. I mean, any hope you have of making the postseason, you've gotta you've gotta pull some of those out.
Absolutely.
You've
You got to
gotta
fight.
beat the
Yep.
49ers. You gotta beat the Packers at least once.
Hmm.
Um, you've got to beat one of the Pennsylvania teams, either the Steelers or the Eagles. And then you got to win the ones you're like. You've got to beat the Browns, got to beat the Saints.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, I know we're talking about this a lot differently than we were a couple weeks ago. But the Bears are getting better every week, and you just hope they don't take a step backwards. Um, but if they play if they play yesterday or on Sunday like they do yesterday, they should beat the Saints.
Well, you would love to see them run the ball again like they did. You would like to see them create turnovers like they did. So if you can keep dialing that up and running the ball effectively, then, yeah, you should be able to. But, it's again, it's gonna, I don't think it's gonna be as easy as we think. But yeah, just don't let it be a trap game. And that's one of the big things.
I mean, I trust Ben Johnson is not going to let them fall into a trap. That guy, that guy is. I mean, when they after they scored points, you just look and he just looks like he's ready to fist fight everybody. Like he just
Yeah,
like just looks mad. There's
like
no
he's gonna
way
eat your face.
yeah, there's no way he's gonna let them take the Saints for granted. I'm not guaranteeing a win by any stretch. It's an NFL. No guarantees. I mean, look, the Saints, I mean the Falcons whipped whipped the Bills' ass.
Yes, they
Uh
did.
like that was an ass whooping. It was, there that the Saint, I mean the Falcon, I keep saying the Saints. The Falcons looked really good against
Did
the
you say the
Bills.
Feints?
The Faints. They're
Feints.
yeah, they formed one team so they could have one good team. Uh but the Falcons, they play them tough. It's the NFL. So, but so the Saints absolutely could beat the Bears. There's no doubt that they can. But I trust that Ben Johnson's not going to let this be a trap game. They're going to be ready to play.
Yeah, yeah. Because, he'll say, good, better, best, never let it rest. But if you take this trap, I'm going to eat your face.
It's like I
I
will
will
kill
dine
your
on your face.
I I will eat your liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
He morphs into an alligator, chomps you, and drags you to the bottom.
Uh, should we talk the Cubs here?
Yeah.
I'm proud of the Cubs. They overcame a lot of shit. A lot of injuries, and
Hmm.
they forced it to a deciding final game in that series against the Brewers. But all of the demons of the second half of the season came to light, and you just couldn't score.
There was the moment. You know what moment I'm talking about?
I didn't see the game.
Two
I was in New
on.
York. I did not see the game. I was in New
Well,
York.
fair enough. Fifth or sixth inning, two outs, nobody on. Kyle Tucker's up. He works the count to 3-1, gets a fastball right down the middle, swings right through it, then he strikes out. And then go figure, the Cubs go on to not score. And to me, that was the ball game. It was a 2-1 game at that point, but when they didn't score there, I'm like, yep, this is done. It's over. And it was. And you know what? I think they had a good season overall. There were ups, there were downs, there were great things, there were things accomplished, there were major flaws, there were issues, and I never really thought that they were going to go to the World Series, but when you play in the postseason, you always give yourself a chance. And credit the pitching, man. I mean, games one and two, the pitching was atrocious, but game three, you clawed it out. with great efforts from your bullpen and Jamison Tyone. Game four, you get the redemption start from Matthew Boyd after the stinker in game one. Looked great. And then in game five, you pitched well, but you just didn't get much support. And you
It turned out well. It just sucks that in a deciding game, you basically do a bullpen game.
yes. What choice did you have? Because the biggest disappointment down the stretch and in the playoffs was Shota Imanaga. I mean, about a month or so ago, you wouldn't dream of not trusting that guy. Even with the home runs, it's like, all right, he'll give up a solo home run or two, but he'll still go 5, 6 innings, give you a quality start, whatever. And then it just all came apart. He had the opener start against the Padres that was meh, and then he had the disaster in Milwaukee, and you just trust him. And you didn't have Kate Horton. You obviously didn't have Justin Steele. You didn't really have a choice. You just didn't.
Yeah, I
And it
mean,
sucks, but it's true.
and it sort of puts you in that position when you uh when you started Boyd in game one on a short rest. I think you were right. They should have started somebody else and then set the rotation up for the rest of the series with essentially Boyd, Tyone, and Shota. And would it have been a different result? I don't know, but I think, I I just think the Brewers are too tough to have lost game one and lose the series in a 5-game series.
The big game was game two, in my opinion. I because I said all you had to do is split those first two and then you go home. And there's a part of me that thinks had Kate Horton not gotten hurt, the series would have been a different outcome. But you know what? You can't play coulda, woulda, shoulda because you could say the same thing about Milwaukee. They didn't have Brandon Woodruff. It's just you can only do it with what you have. So it just that game two, you get the 3-run homer by Suzuki, and you're thinking, okay, here we go, and then you, you have Shota take the mound. He strikes, thinking, all right, this is it. Here we go. Let's go. And then next thing you know, it's tied. And I don't know about you. Were you watching game two? Were you following game two?
I followed game two. I was listening to it. Um,
Uh,
so
when they tied the game, you felt like it was over, right?
yeah,
Like you felt that momentum completely flip.
yeah, it
Would you
was
agree?
frustrating. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because it's not, oh, you hit a solo home run, they hit a solo home run, whatever. You spotted yourself a 3-0 lead, and it didn't even last an inning. Like that is a gut punch on every level.
Yep. Once that happened, I knew the series was over. I know they clawed back and won both games in Chicago. It just at that moment it felt like it was over. You're like you got to steal one of these first two,
So
and
to
they didn't.
so to me, it felt like it was over. But then when they next two, I thought you got a chance. You got a chance here. And to talk about some of the positives of that series, first of all, the two games at Wrigley Field were special. Like they were electric. And it was truly the crowds we envisioned in a post World Series drought world where it's not a nervous energy. The oh, what's going to happen? Oh, woe is us isn't in the back of our minds. It's just we're going to make this a hostile environment to play in. And that's exactly what they did, especially in the game four with the Freddie chants and everybody getting off. And it got in his head. He lost his command, then he gave up the 3-run hap. It felt like watching a World Series game in that game four.
Yeah.
It was
I mean
it was
it
special, and that memory is always going to last with me.
yeah, it felt good.
I
Um,
wish I could have been there.
I had the opportunity to go to both the home games, and I had work stuff. Um, and it was a little frustrating, but what are you gonna do? Um, but
Well, it
you
sucked
know,
when it was in the middle of the week on like at eight. What was it? 8:08. Game four started at 8:08
hmm
on a weeknight. That's tough.
yeah, yep. Um, so now I'm a little surprised. I thought the Blue Jays were gonna coast their way to the World Series, and I don't think they're gonna win that series.
Never say never. This is the Mariners we're talking about.
Um, you know, I I was in my hotel room and I watched that what was it 13, 14 inning game. Um, I turned it on in the
Oh yeah,
ninth.
I came home and watched that. Yep, yeah. I
I,
came
I
home and it was already like the 12th.
I turned it on. I think it was the ninth or the 10th, or just going into the 10th, and I was like, um, I'm like, oh man, this game is this game is wild and so many opportunities that you're like, how did you not score? How did you not score here? And the Mariners came up on top, and then they rode that momentum because it's um they're up 2-0 on the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays have been a murderer's row.
Yeah, no, I'm rooting for the Mariners. I really am. They haven't won Jack, and it seems like they have a really cool environment out there in Seattle. I'd like them to win.
I'm okay with either of those teams winning, to be honest with you. Um, I'm rooting for American League this year. Uh, I I mean, if you asked me to rank, I would probably say I want the Blue Jays to win most, followed closely by the Mariners. I'm okay with either one of those winning. Then drops down a couple steps, Dodgers. And then you drop so far, it's like an anvil through the floor, all the way down to the sub basement. And you go all the way down there and you go, is this where the Brewers are? And he goes, fuck the Brewers.
I mean, I'm kind of the same way. I would just flip-flop Mariners first, Blue Jays second. Like if the
Yeah,
Blue
I mean
Jays won, cool.
they're close. They're 1 and
Yeah.
1A to me.
I just want to see the Mariners because they've never won it. And Cal
There's
Raleigh, what a story that would be with Cal Raleigh after the season he had.
the big dumper.
Man,
Um,
what a special player.
oh man, Dodgers are cooking tonight. Uh, I hope the Brewers get swept out of the playoffs. That would be sweet.
It was just I wasn't mad at the Cubs for losing, but I was just really depressed because I'm like, man, listen, rival got us again. Like we took their manager. We made the trade for Kyle Tucker, which is right now a very big controversial topic, but we made these moves and we thought it was going to be different and it wasn't. It gives me that Packers Bears feel where it's like this is finally the year we get on top of them, we take the rivalry back and it's just like you got close, but not quite. Just frustrating.
Yeah. So where do the Cubs go from here? I mean, we're a long way from the hot stove season, but so this is just real early knee-jerk takes after, a tough end of the season. Where do they go from here?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different things. I don't expect Kyle Tucker to be back next year.
No, to be honest with you, there was there was a point where I was like, oh yeah, I think they're going to get an extension done. Then it was okay in the offseason, I expect them to re-sign him. And then it was, ooh, maybe they do. Hopefully they do, fingers crossed. Now, I mean, listening to his comments and watching how this played out, I don't, unless the market is cold for him, like a couple of years ago when the market went
Right.
cold and somebody goes and gets a 3-year deal with like opt outs. I don't think there's any way he comes back to the Cubs. Not that he didn't
Yeah,
like it.
no.
It just, I don't think they're going to offer, I don't even think it's them per season. It is, they don't want to give him a long term deal.
Yeah, the years. And I mean, like if you maybe if you did a Bellinger type thing, but even so. And you're looking now, Bellinger's gonna opt out with the Yankees. Pete Alonso is gonna opt out with the Mets. I think they just said Alex Bregman is gonna opt out with the Red Sox. And I think some of those guys will just re-sign with their current team, but I don't know. You never know what could happen. And there
Will
could be some guys available.
Pete Alonso apparently wants a 7-year deal. That's a long time. Uh, I don't know if the Mets are going to want to re-sign him. They didn't want to re-sign him this year. They just kind of worked out like I
Right.
I don't know if Pete Alonso is back. But you know what? I don't think he's going to fit in the Cubs plans because um you've got a first baseman and a DH.
I know, but it's kind of funny at the same time. I kind of did some flips. I'm like, how could they make this work? Like, what if you said, "All right, Seiya, we're gonna entrust you in right field." Because to Seiya's credit, he did play pretty good outfield in the postseason this year.
He, he did, here's my concern is when he plays the outfield, he's not as healthy. He gets injured.
Right.
And that's what sucks. Um, you know, so Pete Alonso then would be so you'd put Seiya in right and then Alonso as your DH.
Yes. That I just as I'm just thinking out loud here.
I mean, it would be nice to have that power bat in the lineup.
It would. I mean, because let's say you get Seiya hitting 30 again, PCA hits 20, 25, Swanson hits 24, and then there's Pete Alonso hitting 35, 40. It would be nice, right?
I mean, I'm not hating on that. Um, I mean, I think Pete Alonso playing every or all his home games at Wrigley, I would expect I would expect the 40 home run number.
I
Um,
always give a little less leeway at Wrigley because of the wind, but the good thing is that for Pete Alonso, one, he hits the ball super hard. Two,
that's the
he's a
thing is
righty.
it's the they're not ones that hang up. They're just boomers. Like the wind is not taking it, I don't think. He just hits it so hard.
Right. And
I guess
a lot of that wind comes off the lake, so it's a big problem for lefties. And he's a
yeah.
righty.
Yeah. I mean, I think still that's still a pipe dream too. I don't know if Pete Alonso comes here. Um, I have a feeling that it's going to be Owen Casey out there and Michael Bush and Seiya Suzuki as DH. Uh, I think what's going to happen is they're going to pay some middle relievers and go after a frontline starter. And that's what it is.
Yeah, I could see them being more aggressive with pitching and trusting their internal bats to help make that difference. I mean, do you try to work in Moises Ballesteros somewhere positionally? Do you try to get Ian Happ to waive his no trade clause? I don't think he will. I, I think those are questions you ask, and there are a number of possibilities, but yeah, like I wouldn't expect Pete Alonso. I wouldn't expect like bringing back Cody Bellinger. I'm not expecting Kyle Tucker. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you there.
I mean, you're on the last year of that Ian Happ deal, I believe.
Yes.
Um, so you know, uh, it's it's probably the last year of him being in a Cubs uniform,
I would imagine so. Yes.
and so I mean, does he have to play every day? If he can't, if he's not going to waive his no trade, and he's going to have a year like he did this year at the plate, he was fine in the field. But if he has another year like he did at the plate, like you could platoon him. Like, you know, having that bat come off the bench, switch hitting guy that has a little bit of pop, I that's a nice bat coming off the bench. Um, you could play some of your younger players. Um, I don't know. I just I don't think we're gonna make a major splash. I think the
Yeah,
major splash will be Justin Steele coming back.
yeah, I don't expect much. So,
Yeah. I mean, anything can happen, but if we're betting people, probably way less than we would hope for.
yeah. I there's still for me there's still a lot to digest here, so we'll
Yeah, and
see as the off season goes and where things will be positioned. So, I'm kind of giving myself a little buffer here to kind of just unwind from the season and then kind of go.
and going back to Justin Steele quickly is I don't he's not even going to be ready to at the start of the season, I don't think.
No, he's
Because they said that's a year recovery and he had his surgery in like mid-April. So I don't expect him back until like May at the earliest.
I feel like that would be the best case scenario.
I'm trying to be optimistic here. But like best case scenario here is probably early May. And more realistically, you're probably like, oh, okay, can we have him back by All-Star break?
Right, right.
So I yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Um I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about? I know the Blackhawks have started the season. I have not with baseball and football and just life stuff. I have only caught bits and pieces of Blackhawks.
Yeah, so here's what I could say about the Blackhawks is, you're playing hard, you're in these games, you're still getting well outplayed because you don't have the talent level or the experience that the other teams you played have. But Connor Bedard is not only looking good, he's also looking tough. He's getting in there and getting into it with other players and getting kind of dirty and feisty, which is good to see. Frank Nazar is looking really good. Spencer Knight has been awesome, and he has helped keep you in all these games. And you finally got the win the other day. Ilya Mikheyev scored 2 goals. Spencer Knight was number one star with some huge saves. The power went out funny at the UC,
Yeah, against
but
the
yeah,
Mammoth.
you won your first game. Yep, against the Mammoth, you won your first game 3-1. So very early in the season, hopefully Spencer Knight keeps it up. I like what we're seeing from Bedard and Nazar and Mikheyev, and you just kind of hope some of these guys keep growing.
Yeah, I mean, Bedard and Nazar are looking good. Um, you kind of know what you're going to get overall from Tavo. Uh, but it's where are you going to get that secondary scoring? I think
Right.
that's the big question.
Right. You're not expecting breakouts from veterans like Tevu or Bertuzzi.
Yeah, so it's where's that coming from? Penalty kill, not great. To start the season. Um, yeah, so I'm hoping that we see growth as we go. It hasn't been terrible, but I want to see some growth.
I agree.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Nope. I think I've said my piece.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. That would grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or Swerski_sports_podcast on Instagram, ShyFanPat2 on Alex on Twitter/X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on planes.
Bears 31 to -7.
The Bears.
Oh, when the Bears go bearing down